Let us go to know about novel. Many of us only know about novel. Novel is something which is a fiction written in prose in extended version. Like it's a long narrative in a prose, and any work, if it has to be called as a novel, it must consist of 50,000 words at least, 180 to 200 pages, and novellas are little smaller than novel, which must consist of 20,000 words to 49,999 words, like around 80 to 160 pages. And if it is novelty, it's smaller than novellas, like 7,500 words, like that. A short story consists of 75,000 words, like that. So what does a novel consists of? A novel primarily consists of a greater variety of characters and a greater complication of a plot and a character exploration. Character and their motives, everything was explored in the novel. So in a novel, it is something, a narrative written in a prose. So nothing but, if anybody asks you what is a novel, you can answer that like a narrative written in a prose. It's a long narrative. Actually, it's a long narrative written in a prose. For example, if anybody asks you what is the example of a novel, you can write Samuel Richardson, Pamela, Virtue Rewarded. It's also called Virtue Rewarded. It's a story of a girl who tries to protect her chastity from a rogue. Unfortunately, he becomes her husband. It's a different story. Charles Dickens, he's a very famous writer, everybody knows, Pickwick Papers. Franz Kafka is a surrealist writer who's often a modernist writer. He's The Trial. Doris Lessing, who is a 2007 Nobel Prize winner, The Golden Notebook. And it's a novel. It comes from a Roman, and it's from generally from Romance. Italian novella. In Italian, novella means a little new thing. So a little new thing. Short tale in prose. Its meaning is short tale in prose. So a novelty is something of prose fiction, middle length. It's like it's not big as a novel or as small as a short story. Novelty is medium in size. So for example of novelty is Joseph Conrad's Heart of Darkness. Heart of Darkness is a staunch example of a novelty. Okay, and there are lots of kinds of novels are there. Let us explore types of novels. Picaresque novel. It is something originated from 16th century Spain. In Picaresque narrative, we can observe the realistic nature of the novel. It is episodic and it is realistic and it is satiric in aim. So in Picaresque novel, one protagonist will be there and he or she roars around the places, and from one place to another. The story of a rogue can be predicted in the Picaresque novel. For example, Thomas Nash, The Unfortunate Traveler, is a staunch example of a Picaresque novel. And Mark Twain's Adventures of Tom Sawyer, also an example. Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is also there. And Saul Bellow, a Jewish writer, his Adventures of Ajik March. Duane Victor Cervantes, Duane Vixote. Cervantes is a writer, and this is the work. Duane Vixote is also a picaresque narrative. So, if in any exam they mention these works like The Unfortunate Traveler, Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Adventures of Ajay March, Duane Vixote, which is a picaresque, which is a something else novels, you can predict these works as picaresque novels. And Robinson Crusoe is the first and foremost considered novel, and Daniel Defoe is the first foremost novelist of England. He wrote Robinson Crusoe and Moll Flanders. Robinson Crusoe is considered the first and foremost novel, which is considered to be the first and foremost novel. In this novel, Robinson Crusoe, as a protagonist, is caught in an uninhabited island. There is no one there to live in. He alone caught up in the island, and he has to spend in that island alone. Rather, his journey will be narrated in this Robinson Crusoe. It's very interesting and a beautiful novel. And Moll Flanders is another picaresque novel written by Daniel Defoe, and it is written in 1922. And in this, Moll is a female character, female picaro, and her journey is predicted in this, described in this novel, Moll Flanders, and she is an exile, spends 12 years as a whore, 5 times as a wife of multiple men, 12 years a thief. As a thief she lives, and 8 years as a slave. So her life, how she spent her life these many years, going from one place to another place in pursuit of something else, was predicted in this. So here, these are all the picaresque novels examples: Unfortunate Traveler, Adventures of Tom Sawyer, Adventures of Ajay March by Saul Bellow, Duane Vixote by Cervantes, Robinson Crusoe by Daniel Defoe, Robinson Crusoe, Moll Flanders. All these are all picaresque narratives. And now it's the turn of the pioneering key figure in English novel, Samuel Richardson. And he is famous for writing a novel of character, and also it's also called a psychological novel. What is meant by a novel of character? On what matter is it emphasis on? It primarily emphasizes on how the character went through some situations, and how the character changes, or the character mindset changes, will be predicted in the novel of character. For example, Pamela. Pamela is a very good lady. She is someone who always tried to protect herself, her chastity, but she was married to a very brutal husband, and how her character suffered through the novel can be predicted. So that's why it's called as novel of character. And now Pamela is a sentimental, shrewd young woman wanted to safeguard her chastity. So here let me tell you the difference between the novel of incident and the novel of character. The novel of incident, it emphasizes on what will happen to the next. It's formed in the episodic way, so that episodically how what happens after an incident it focus on. Novel of character, as I said before, it emphasizes on protagonist motives and the way of behavior changes after a long struggle. And now let me tell you the remaining things very briefly, very fastly also. Bildung's Roman novel, Atkinson Roman. So these are two kinds of novel types. Especially this novel distinguished based on the subject matter it consists, artistic purposes and subject matters. Based on that, these novels are differentiated. Bildungsroman, Erziehungsroman. In Bildungsroman is something, in building some building itself, we can know that formation, building is something, no, formation. So something forming. What is formation? The character of the protagonist will be formed in this novel. So novel of formation, it's also called a novel of formation. Erkigton's roman is something, a novel of education. It focuses on education. If it is E, it is education. Remember like that. Novel of education. Development of protagonist mind and character in the passage from childhood through varied experiences. So the protagonist will learn a lessons based on the situations. So this is the part 1. I will tell you the next remaining things in the part 2.